Today I'm going to show you how to calibrate the Briot Scan 8 tracer. When you get it, it'll come with a little kit, and in here it has all of the little things that we're going to need. So first thing to do, hold down the gear icon, hit the settings, and you're going to want this screen here. Okay. And it's really simple. We're just going to go step by step through each one. So the very first one is the pattern with the rectangle on the left and the circle on the right. It's this one. So we'll take that out, we'll tap it. Okay. Shows it, and we're going to put this in. Now when you get these, you want to make sure you put your number on the top, not face down, not upside down, but you want to make sure you have the square on the left, circle on the right, and the number on the top. Okay, and when you put this in, you want to put it right align the little notches with the fingers. That'll hold it. Okay, make sure it's in there tight and hit the check mark. When you do that, it asks you the calibration size, which is that number right on the top, and ours is 40.02. Yours may be something different. Make sure you use the correct number. We'll hit OK, and now it starts. So it's going to come and it's going to trace the circle, and it's going to do that a few times, and then it's going to go trace the square, and it's going to do that a few times, and it'll let us know when it's done. Now a question that comes is, how often should you calibrate the tracer? And that's going to be different depending on the volume of jobs you run through your tracer. So generally at the beginning of each week is good. If you're a smaller shop, you maybe get away with, every other week or so, but a good rule of thumb is to do this. We usually do it every Monday, and that's usually a good rule of thumb. And if you're doing a really high volume, some big labs, they may even do this at the beginning of every day. So if you're doing remote tracing, say you're using this tracer to send jobs remotely to a lab like we have or another one, then it's going to be important to, keep this calibrated too. So you want to make sure you keep an eye on it. All right, so once it's finished, it tells us to go ahead and remove the tool. We'll take it out. Just set it to the side because it's going to ask for the other ones next. So now we'll hit the check mark, and the next one so now this was the one we just did. Now it has a check mark. Now we're going to go to this next one. All right, and now it's asking for this tool. Now that tool, you notice that there's actually two parts to this tool. There's the main bracket, and then there's a small little a small part that magnetically attaches to. This is it, and this is the small piece that attaches through a magnet. So we'll put this in first, and you want to put this so it's situated like this in the tracer, and you'll see when you go to line it up, it'll probably only let you do it one way anyway. So these don't have to be tight, they just need to be snug. So just make sure you don't over tighten them. Okay, it's in there good. Now we'll get this one, and this goes in. It'll only attach one way, and you want to attach it, let me show you. you want to attach it with the hook facing down, and it goes right over the lip of here, okay? So if you try to do it upside down, you'll notice that it won't really connect right, and that'll be your first clue that, hey, you got this wrong. So it'll only correctly, or only when it's correct will it attach, and it attaches pretty good. Okay, so we got that in, we can hit okay. And it braced itself up against there, and it's very slowly working its way down. Okay, that was it. We'll remove this. Now the next step in here, get this out first. Okay. All right, so we got a check mark after the first one, a check mark after the second one, not a third one. All right, now it wants the circle pattern. So, let me put this thing away. Here's our circle pattern. Here's our number, 40.00. And this is the guide that it will go on. So you want to put it on, it's a circle, so of course it doesn't matter if you go top or bottom, but there are small pins here, and those should be lined up with the small inside holes on here. So if we put that on there, so it'll only sit correctly one way, and inside of that jig is this little nut. Now when we got this, I thought this was an error because the hole is not a perfect circle, but it actually is supposed to come like that, and it's to help so it doesn't get stuck. So just put that on snug. And remember your number, 40.00. Now on this calibration jig, you see that it says up and down. So now the pattern has to go down into the tracer, but you want to make sure your up faces toward the top. Okay, so you have to open it all the way, and then it goes right on the guide pins on top. Okay, now we got that in, we could hit the check mark and let it go through there. And this is normal. This is what it's supposed to be doing. So I know at first you might think this looks broken, but so when you're calibrating, not only are you calibrating the size, but it's also calibrating the tension that it's putting on there. Because if it's pushing into the frame too hard, you can get, your size would be bigger because it's pushing into the groove of the frame tighter than it should be. So it's doing more than just the you know, calibrating to the correct size. It's doing several different things. down here, notice it put a check mark by the last one. So we can go ahead and I think you still have to take this out and then you hit the circle pattern next. Okay, put that back in and hit OK. Now this time it's going to trace all the way around the pattern. Alright, now we take that one out. Notice it's got the check mark by the circle. And the last one to do is the square. Okay, it says insert the rectangle. So we're going to take this one off. And it's always a good idea to remove the calibration jig in between instead of leaving it on, because each time you hit the check mark or the OK button, whatever, it always resets itself. And the last thing you want is for it to try to reset itself and it's getting jammed by the jig that's still in there. So here's our rectangle, and it has the same 2 pins in there. Okay. Make sure we got our up toward the top. And hit the check mark. Okay, now we got check marks on every spot. Now after you remove your calibration jig, make sure you check or you touch the save button. That way all of the calibration that you just did, it saves it to the machine. If you exit out of here without saving, you'll lose all that and you'll have to, it was a waste of time. So now that you got that, you can hit the red X, hit the settings. That takes you back to the starting page, and make sure you put everything away. I know some people or some labs that just really don't take care of this stuff, but it really is important too. You know, you really do want to take good care of these calibration devices to help set your machine up and keep it running accurately. And the more often you do this, the better the results are when you go to edge them. You'll have less retouches, and you'll have more lenses that just fit on the first time you cut them. So again, this is Neil from UseMyFrame.com. Thanks for watching.